Live.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Bluminati podcast. This week, angry waves and hand grenades as the South Florida Bulls travel to New Orleans to take on the Tulane Green Wave, who and we'll get into it. They're pretty similar in a lot of respects this season, folks. Some close calls, some interesting losses, but it's been real up and down throughout the season. But we'll get into that here shortly. I think we need to kind of jump into something real quick. First of all, I want to shout out Irish 31 forever and always. It's just a beautiful sponsor for us. They're going to have a watch party this week in Wesley Chapel. Let me make sure I've got the address right for you folks, for you fine folks, so you guys aren't just walking around aimlessly hoping for the best here. Let me make sure I get it up and right. This Saturday, November 20th, the kickoff's at noon. So, a full day drinking ahead for you guys as we prepare. It's at the Irish 31 in Wiregrass, 28358 Willett Way, Wesley Chapel, Florida, 33543. So super exciting stuff. It's been an interesting, time for the season. I think if USF was just a pinch better, these numbers would go through the roof, right? But shout out to Irish 31 for always sticking by us. It's been a fun year. Super excited. We're going to try to bring them back for next football season as well as we wrap up. And we're actively looking for sponsors as well for basketball season. So get at us if you need it. Seth, let's kick it off with a quick recap of Cincinnati. The win expectancy number was probably right in line where you thought you'd be against the number 5 team in the nation. You really got dominated in all facets of the game, but if you take away that final garbage time touchdown, a 10-point loss against the number 5 team in the nation is not terrible.
No, and I think you played a lot better on offense than you thought you would against what is by all measures a top 5 defense in the country. That's back-to-back weeks. The USF offense has played really well against a really good defense. So I think you have to take that, and that's definitely a sign of progress. I think the last 2 weeks we've kind of been of the belief that if they covered these games, that you'd feel like even if you didn't win, you're making progress just by keeping these games within the margin. That's 2 weeks in a row they've covered now. Their record against the spread on the season has got to be really good, isn't it?
Yep, they're 7-3 in 2021 against the spread, 12-7 all time under Jeff Scott over the last 2 years. So even when they're pretty bad, they can still win you some money.
They're outperforming.
It's just when they're really,
and that's the best. I think the best indicator of expectations and performance expectations is that cash market, and they're outperforming that consistently. So that's a good sign heading towards the future. So they're making progress. But I think there was a lot of stuff to like about the game last week, and then still some of those same old problems keep creeping up. And I don't know if those will get fixed before the season ends. It doesn't look like they will.
You're probably right in that regard. Cincinnati gains 506 yards of offense. They throw for over 300 yards. They rush for 202 yards. Just a pretty dominating performance on the offensive side of the ball after yet another disjointed first quarter between the Bearcats and the Bulls. 7 first quarter turnovers between the two teams over the last 2 meetings. Just weird things happen. It's just, I guess we're just going to have to live with that, regardless of which team's up and which team's down. Just these games are just going to be weird forever, at least until 2022 when they head to the Big 12 when we never see them again. So just, the defense was in shambles again. I don't know. I don't know how else we can say it. 6.7 yards per play. They're now allowing 487 yards per game defensively. I don't know. I don't know what else to say at this point. Nothing's going to get fixed over these last two games. The only breath of fresh air you get is you're not going up against two of the better quarterbacks in the conference over the last 2 weeks. And that's really the only reprieve you're getting. And, again, just those random single quarters really do me. You go into the second quarter tied at 7, and then the second quarter just really gets away from you, and you've dug yourself a 17-point hole at halftime that you just really can't get back out of. And Cincinnati just kind of laid it on. I mean, Desmond Ridder was 31 of 40 and completed 78% of his passes on Friday night. And, I think they only had one. Let me make sure I get this right. They only had one completion over 20 yards. They dinked and dunked you down the field. And when you have an accurate quarterback, that's all you need to do. It's not like, I get the thought process, right, of, make them make the throws every single time down the field. And I completely understand that. But when you're going up against, I know it's a down year for quarterbacks in the NFL draft, but this guy's probably going to go in the first round, if not early second round. He's accurate enough to just kill you. I mean, I don't know. I think they really got scarred after Florida and BYU bombed them over the top, and injuries mounting up. It's just a confluence of events here. Seth, how can USF mitigate this going forward?
Yeah, after those early games, everyone was saying, "Why are we playing so much man coverage? Why are we letting these bombs over the top? We got to stop doing that." Well, they've done that, and now you're getting the other side of it. You kind of take away the big plays, but you allow these teams to move the ball down the field, especially the good quarterbacks, so they can make those throws consistently. So, like you said, luckily the level of quarterback goes down a little bit. I think they've played some pretty good ones throughout the year. SMU's quarterback is one of the best in the country in terms of EPA. I think he might be number 1. Houston's quarterback's pretty good. I think the Tulsa quarterback's not bad. And then Cincinnati's quarterback, as you mentioned, could be a first-round draft pick. Probably going to go in the top 3 rounds, probably about to get invited to the Senior Bowl if he already hasn't. So pretty good players. So I think that'll help, not playing those consistent kind of quarterbacks. You saw kind of a guy more like DeJuan Mathis. It's got some talent, but it is a little raw still. You saw kind of how they were able to handle him. And so I think that'll help maybe playing worse quarterbacks, but they got to continue to mix things up, try different things, not show the same look over and over. Houston, after just kind of talking over with some people, the Houston game, Houston had a really good plan of what they were going to run on first down, USF pretty consistently, and had a good call for it almost every time coming out on first down, and caught USF in the same look and was able to just kind of take advantage of knowing what the call was going to be on first down. So I haven't looked super in detail at Cincinnati yet. Going to look probably tonight, and then tomorrow we'll have the film room. But there's probably similar stuff. So just mix it up. Don't be go against tendency. And in the last 2 games, you can do some different things. But there's obviously doesn't feel like the problems are going to be fixed as in season. But hopefully you can do enough these last 2 games to win.
Yeah, I think to kind of put a button on Cincinnati as we move toward Tulane. I mean, that first half offensively was horrendous. I think we can fairly say that first half was not winning football. I think they gained 39 yards in the first half and gained 307 in the second half, where they started to click and hit a little bit more. And against really, really good teams, you can't gain 39 yards on offense in a half and expect to be even anywhere in the vicinity of a win. And you can't do that against bad teams either, because guess what? You're still a pretty bad team right now. Now, they're showing strides. We can't take that away from them, right? The offense is getting better. They're a young offense, and you'll have those moments where you gain 39 yards and a half. But you've got to be able to quickly right the ship, and they didn't right the ship quick enough on Friday night. and I think it could doom them at Tulane on the road. It's still a pretty tough place to play. I know Ullman's not going to be, raucous and roaring, but it's a cool stadium. Tulane always plays us pretty hard. Even when Quentin Flower was there, there was, I think it was the 2017 season, 2016 season where USF went up big and Tulane, clawed back into the game and nearly pulled it off. But I mean, let's think back to the last time these two teams played. It was 2018, if I'm not mistaken. They
was
didn't play
the chrome chrome flag helmets, right?
Yeah, it was the day of the Corgi races.
Yes.
And it was the day that we collectively were like, so how much is Charlie Strong's buyout?
That was the Charlie Strong game.
And then he got another full ass year. Full ass year, and Tulane just ran this team off the field. I think they won 40-15, and the score wasn't as close as it would indicate. So USF's got some issues that they've got to figure out against this Tulane team. The bright side, I think we're going to be relatively healthy, and we'll get into the injury updates that I've got here in a little bit, but there's a lot to worry about this defense, and I know Tulane's offense hasn't been great, but Michael Pratt is still a pretty good quarterback. He's completing over 57% of his passes. He doesn't turn over the ball, so they're gonna have to figure something out. Let's just jump into it. Seth, you have our friend Parker's beautiful stat preview up and ready and rocking and roaring to go.
Oh, we're ready, all right.
Oh yeah. So quickly as we go over it, so Tulane opened as a 5-point favorite on Sunday. It got bet down to Tulane -3.5, and then it's been bet back up to Tulane -5.5. Either Vegas knows something or they haven't caught up yet. The numbers here suggest that USF should win this game. It's a 55% win probability, projected score 21-19. That seems fair. It looks like it's Seth, this it's like the good versus and then bad versus bad, right? You get your ones versus your ones and then twos versus your twos at sometimes during practices, and that's what it's looking like. It's USF's getting better offense versus Tulane's pretty sneaky good defense.
Yeah, in terms of like success rate, they're pretty good, and then it seems like they're pretty good against the rush, which will be an interesting matchup with the USF offense, right?
Yep, absolutely. And then it's really bad USF defense against the shockingly bad Tulane offense. Fair to say, I know they lost Will Hall, their offensive coordinator, to Southern Miss. But they did get his college roommate, Chip Long, which apparently is supposed to be the exact same thing, right? I mean, Seth, if your college roommate did your job right now, how well do you think they would do?
Yeah, probably not great.
Steve, what about yourself?
My college roommate was all in on hockey. So if this was a USF Ice Bowls versus a Tulane angry Ice Wave, it might be a little bit more fair assessment, but yeah, it'd be terrible with my college roommate.
So I feel bad for JP and those guys that fear the wave and the Tulane fans. This is the one fan base in the conference that we can probably stand, even though Robert, you got absolutely demolished is not even a strong enough word for what happened to you yesterday.
Like disintegrated.
And you took us all down for no reason. I don't understand.
Ether still a thing? Is Ether a thing?
Oh man, you got Thanos snap where you couldn't come back from it.
I couldn't, but I just love how. And I was messaging JP beforehand, and I was like, "Are you guys gonna have fun with this week, or like, am I getting another Cincinnati situation?" Because I tweeted at the Cincinnati sites, and none of them responded. And he's like, "No, we'll have fun." And I was like, okay.
That was like responding to like training exercises in like the South China Sea with like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Right.
It was not a proportional response.
I was like, oh, okay, let's have some fun. Pooh Orleans, and then he did that, and I was like, yeah. I mean, I knew he was gonna do it, because it's low hanging fruit, and it was gonna get him those engagement clicks and the money that JP Gilbert apparently think exists in the Twitter sphere. But yeah, it was fucking hilarious. I loved how many like UCF fans were adding me after like, oh my god, you just got destroyed. I'm like,
It's Twitter.
I said Pooh Orleans, and I feel like I won.
I mean,
Ever heard of a one-punch knockout?
yeah. Man, that was Mike Tyson on Allen in The Hangover, man. You were snoring after that. But yeah, let's dig into it a little bit. The spread being 5.5 is pretty shocking to me. I'll just at first blush. Am I missing something?
I think it's a big home game. I think home game is big, or they think home game is big, and it's at 6 in some places now. The consensus is still 5.5, and then 60.5 for the over/under. 70% of them, so 87% of the bets right now are on Tulane, but only 70% of the money. So that would kind of show that there's some
nice.
people,
We get to block someone else. Hold on. You want to take care of that?
I can't do anything. I think that's a Seth
Oh, is
thing.
it Seth? There you go.
There we go. Ah!
Is he back? So 70%, only 87% of the bets and 70% of the money. So there's a little bit of difference there. So that difference is kind of more towards USF's benefit. So,
Jeez. Seth, you mentioned it's a big home game. You would think that Tulane has a home field advantage.
I think that's what they're thinking.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. USF and the Daily Stampede have the home field advantage because we are proud to announce that Home Field Apparel and the Daily Stampede have become one. We are being proudly sponsored. We're being proudly sponsored by Home Field Apparel through the end of basketball season, folks. And listen, you guys know we hawked them prior to the release in October. And you're going to hear them every single week on this here podcast because they're beautiful people who do great work. I mean, look at us. Look at us. We're shills for Home Field. They are a premium collegiate apparel brand out of Indianapolis. Incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs, as Stieg is showing right now. That is the Colorado School of Mines right there. And look at that. These are all your options right now. This is fantastic. Home Field digs through the archives and history of your school to find unique logos, mascots, and moments to make those thoughtful designs for your school. And Home Field, as you guys see, just added USF to their brand. Now, here's the thing. So they do Big News Saturday, and they've been doing it for a year, 2 years. I was told by the officials at Home Field that we would have beaten some schools in season 1 of Big News Saturday with the release that we did a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
That is massive. And that is all thanks, kind of us, kind of the designs, I'll be honest. The amount of people that we see at halftime when we go say hi to folks has been astronomical. We're so happy. Go buy more. Go buy more. Go buy more. I love them. I sleep in these shirts. I've got 2. I have obviously the Robo Bowl, and then I have the classic USF in gray. Samantha has her eyes on the Robo Bowl hoodie.
Sold out, unfortunately. But if you go click on it, let's click on it. Let's show everyone. If we click on it, you can get it emailed to you, right? Email when available. You enter your email in, they'll send you an email immediately when it's available.
Okay, perfect. And right now, new customers can get 15% off their first purchase from Home Field with the code Daily Stampede at checkout at homefieldapparel.com. Again, that is Daily Stampede at checkout for 15% off your order for new customers site-wide at homefieldapparel.com. And here's the kicker. Black Friday is next week. Home Field will be running their Black Friday deal starting November 26th, which is Black Friday, the day of the Central Florida game, and will be running through November 29th, Cyber Monday. All items will be 20% off for the duration of the sale. No code needed. Items are subject to sellout, and Home Field recommends ordering as early as possible so our warehouse and shipping carriers have plenty of time to get the shirts to you for the holiday season. It's a perfect gift for any sports fan in your life or for yourself. We don't care. Money plays. They have gift cards available as well. So if you have someone who maybe likes Florida and you don't want to actually personally buy Florida clothes, I get it. Get them a gift card so they can buy it. So it's not really you doing it.
But if you do want to buy clothes of other teams, here's a list of all the teams they have apparel for. If you have like an aunt or uncle that maybe went to Furman, you can buy a Furman shirt, a Notre Dame shirt, or you can stick with just the USF stuff.
Yeah, they have some great Tulane stuff. I think that's apropos of this week's podcast. They have some great Tulane stuff. Check it out. I mean, that Angry Wave blue is just beautiful. They've got stickers.
The little greenie. I'm sorry, that little greenie, that one, that good Lord, like get that man back in the spotlight, Tulane. Like just throw him back out there. We need it.
Put him on all the helmets.
Oh yeah, I mean the Pelican surfing. I mean they've got some great stuff. So make sure you check out homefieldapparel.com. If you guys want to use the promo code Daily Stampede for 15% off your first order for new customers, go ahead and do so. If you want to wait for Black Friday, it's going to be 20% off site-wide, no code needed through Black Friday through Cyber Monday. Get all of your family and friends Home Field apparel, shirts, pants. They've got the sad Husky joggers. They've got stickers. They've got everything. Home Field, super excited to have them on board as a sponsor for the Daily Stampede going forward. But let's get into it. Tulane, we started talking about it. It was I told the guys I was going to shoehorn in this segue, and I did it pretty flawlessly. I'll be perfectly honest. Tulane comes into the game reeling just a pinch, I think is fair to say. They're 1-9, 0-6 in the conference, and the only win that they have is against Morgan State this year. They played Oklahoma close to open the season, and then that's been about it up until the last couple of weeks. And Seth, we touched on it previously. This Tulane defense is really good, and I'm excited to see what they do.
They're really good against the run. Against the pass, it looks like they're not great. So that's kind of not exactly a strength. It'll be a strength versus strength, but USF's passing game has been getting better. So maybe there's an advantage to be had there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say this. Let me make sure I got the numbers right here. Oh, dear. So Jeff Scott in his press conference today basically talked about what's been the difference for Tulane over the last few weeks, and it was pretty poignant on what they were able to do against. Really, it started with Cincinnati. I mean, they kept Cincinnati kind of under wraps for a little bit before they kind of opened the game up. But against Central Florida and against Tulsa, they were able to really bottle up the passing and frankly the rushing attack for the most part. And what they've been doing is they've kind of changed the way they're playing defense. And Jeff Scott said this today in his press conference that they are playing a lot more press man coverage and loading the box to really take away the run. It was really effective. Central Florida ran the ball 31 times for 48 yards 2 weeks ago in that 14-10 loss for the Green Wave. And then Tulsa had to run the ball 47 times to gain 194 yards last week. And then the passing game, they have been hit with the deep shots a couple of times. They've given up 50-yarders in 7 of the 10 games that they've played, including a 59-yarder last week for Tulsa. But Tulsa turned the ball over 4 times. So and 3 of them were interceptions. So Tulane's been really aggressive on the outsides, making your receivers get open. And I think that's going to be that could be the issue going into this week. Can USF consistently get open against press man coverage? Well, thoughts on that there, Seth?
I mean, I think they have the guys to do it. The one thing that's going to be interesting to see is what is, Xavier Weaver's health. He got held out the last 2 drives. Was there anything in the press conference today about that, or have you heard anything about that?
Yeah. The perfect segue into the injuries. So Brian Battie has been practicing. He got stepped on, which is a sigh of relief for what it initially looked like it could be, right? It's a mild bone bruise. He's been practicing. It's been wrapped, but he's still practicing. Donovan Jennings, he missed the left tackle. Donovan Jennings, he missed the last couple of series for the Bulls last week. He's been kind of getting out there. Haven't really gotten any solid confirmation on Donovan's status for this week. And then Xavier Weaver's kind of where he's been the last few weeks, kind of tending to the hamstring injury. He'll play a few snaps and then take some time. Play a few snaps and take some time. So I think that's kind of where we're at right now. I think the extra day of rest may help, but then you've come around and have a short week to end the year. So it's really a balancing act for Xavier Weaver to do so. And we saw him line up in the slot a few times on Friday night. We'll say Bryce Miller is now in the transfer portal, so good luck to him. But it opens up a little bit more playing time for Xavier in the slot. Let's see what Yusuf Terry and DeMarcus Gregory can do on the outside. Holden Willis has been getting a lot of run recently. Sean Atkins, obviously Jimmy Horn in the slot. So they're still trying to find the right pieces and right connection points for this offense.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to get press man coverage, I mean, you got a taste of it last week against Cincinnati. They played some press man coverage. That's why they moved Weaver into the slot a little bit, because the corners would roll up tight, and then you move him into the slot. Now he gets matched up on the safety, which he won quite a bit against the safety. So are they going to roll up on Horn in the slot? Well, then you got to feel pretty good about your chances with Horn one-on-one, especially if you give him a ton of field on some goes, some deeper shots, some run a little hitch, hitch fade kind of stuff with him from the slot would give some people some problems. So if they're going to roll up and play aggressive man coverage, you do have some guys that can win, which is different from years past. This year, I think you've got 2 or 3 guys that can win against man coverage. And, you could also use your backs out of the backfield in the passing game. If they're going to bring a lot of pressure, you got all your backs seem to be able to catch and move in space. So there's some things you can do. Motion, if they're playing aggressive man coverage, motion can give that some problems too. If you're going to run jet sweep, is the guy just going to chase him all the way across the field? If that's so, you might be able to get him caught in some things, and then also use kind of motion back and forth to get some guys open like they've done in the past. So I think they'll have a pretty good plan, and they got to see a little bit of it last week, so that should help them prepare this week.
Steve, you were up in the press box with us on Friday night for the first time in a little bit.
Like 2 years.
Yeah, a different vantage. Yeah, different vantage point for you. What did you see from this USF offense from the first half to the second half that can maybe translate to being a little bit more effective against Tulane on the road, maybe for 4 quarters instead of just a half?
I think the biggest thing, and I know we see it every single week, and we see it on Twitter all the time, is just straight up the elusiveness that Timmy McClain has in the pocket is just, I mean, it's bonkers. The way that he's able to escape, buy himself some more time, break down the coverage a little bit, and in fact, I think in the first half, that interception that he threw to Ahmad Gardner was the same kind of play that ended up being a 32-yard completion later on in the game against Cincinnati that Holden Willis caught. It's very reminiscent for any NCAA fans out there. You get your mobile quarterback, run a certain post fade coverage, and you can basically kind of manipulate the defense to kind of start biting up, and you just dump a pass over the top, and all of a sudden, you got a 25, 30-yard completion. So I think that's kind of the X factor of this game, is that no one we have seen as of yet has been able to contain Timmy in the pocket. And if you do contain Timmy in the pocket, he's very capable of just throwing an absolute strike to Jimmy, to Holden, to Xavier Weaver, to whomever it needs to be. So I'm curious to see what Tulane kind of does to throw something different, because I mean, if you let Timmy scramble around and run, he'll gain 8-9 yards. If nothing's there, if you decide to keep the guys back and try to contain him up, he'll dump it over the top and get a 30-yard completion. And if you try to keep him in the pocket just to make him throw, he's going to be patient and find those open receivers. We kind of have the best of, a mobile quarterback right now who loves to throw it first. And, sometimes it's to his detriment and sometimes it's to our benefit.
Agreed. Wanted to kind of touch on some of the important parts of this Tulane offense that this defense is going to have to try to contain or at least match. Michael Pratt, as we mentioned, I picked this Tulane team to be fourth, to finish fourth in the conference this year, largely because of Michael Pratt, and I still believe in his skill set. Just a weird year for him. I mean, the numbers don't really bear it out, but it's still a pretty weird year. I mean, he's completing 57% of his passes. He's thrown for 1,900 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So, I mean, he's still been taking care of the ball pretty well. It just, I don't know. Maybe, Seth, I was too high on him. I thought there'd be a bigger jump from year 1 to year 2 for him. And maybe I just miscalculated how important how drastic the Will Hall to the Chip Long combination at offensive coordinator was actually going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been that offense change, right? That's tough to do, and you've only been in college for 1 year, so you're making that switch early. That can be a tough thing. It could be supporting cast, letting him down a little bit. I haven't watched a ton of Tulane this year. I saw a little bit of the Oklahoma game and he played really well in that one. Was kind of like a one-man wrecking crew a little bit. So, I'm not sure. I think switching coaches can be tough for younger quarterbacks. So that could be very well what the main crux of the issue is. And I know he's dealt with some injury stuff this year too as well, right? So it's kind of could have just been a bit of a throwaway year for him all around.
Yeah, and his supporting cast has been a bit up and down, a little sporadic to say the least. Cameron Carroll, the running back, is 492 yards, averaging 4.8 yards a carry. Then Tajay Spears, 488 yards, a little bit more explosive, 5.7 yards per carry, 5 rushing touchdowns himself. And then they don't have a true number one receiver. So it's going to be interesting who they decide to really kind of target and pick on this USF secondary a little bit. Tyreek James leads the team with 27 catches, 380 yards, and 3 scores. Shea Wyatt has 24 catches, 240 yards, 3 scores. Chativia Tolles has 18 catches, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns. You're catching my drift that they've got over 10 guys with at least 10 catches on the roster. They spread the ball around. There's no one person to really hone in on. They have four guys over 260 yards receiving as well, and multiple people with multiple touchdown receptions. They do a bit of everything to kind of spread the ball around, so you can't really hone in on any one person.
And they got a guy named Fat Watts.
God, what a
which
name!
Is like the greatest name of all time.
Oh goodness
Pretty
gracious!
That's
So
good.
when looking at Pratt, what's interesting is, so in 2020 he was at 55% completion percentage and 7.1 yards per attempt. He's right now at 57.4% completion percentage and 7.1 yards an attempt. He's kind of the same guy. His quarterback rating this year is 134.3. Last year was 134.5. So I think it was one of those things where you expected him to kind of take a jump, and he just kind of came back as the same dude, which is disappointing with how, for a freshman, he played really well last year. So you're thinking that jump's coming, but he's basically the same guy as he was last year.
And I think that's the frustrating part for me as just as a fan of him and his play style. I really thought he was going to take that next jump as a second year freshman with a lot of starts under his belt, and it just didn't happen for whatever reason it may be. And it's kind of shown up on some of the the important things that we always harp on, right? Third downs, red zone, the important things that help you win games. So I want to make sure I get this right here. Third down for Tulane offensively, they're converting 33% on third down. And then on fourth down, they're under 50% for the season. And then you look at the red zone, and, again, I'll harp on this until the cows come home every single week, because it's such an important thing. Cincinnati took advantage except for one time, and they score that on the 1 yard line, and it's a much different feel. It's a much different game. Last week, you get a stop and you come back down and score. That's a 14-point swing right there, which is pretty important in the grand scheme of things. And Tulane's been pretty bad offensively. They've had 36 red zone opportunities. They've scored points on 26 of them, but only 22 of those 36 have resulted in touchdowns. That's 61% of their red zone opportunities, and they are horrific at field goals, as evidenced by missing a game-winning. I think it was a 26-yarder last week. Before
point, essentially,
basically, in the fourth quarter against Tulsa last week to lose. They're 6 of 12 on field goals this year, which is tough. If I'm reading this right, they're 3 for 3 on onside kicks this year.
I think they did get. I'm pretty sure they got one against Oklahoma, right?
I'm pretty sure. If that's accurate, well, good.
Be careful. Damn. Watch out for that.
Fine. Find some lottery tickets. 3 for 3.
Jeez, I just wouldn't attempt one the rest of the year just to keep the 100% at this point.
I mean, you got to keep it 100.
Seriously, that's pretty impressive. And then on the flip side, defensively, I think these numbers are skewed a little bit by the early season struggles. Perfectly frank. Defensively, 41 of 46 opportunities have scored. 34 of 46 have resulted in touchdowns, and then they're allowing 40% on third down, and they're allowing 83% on fourth down. So those are the numbers that I'm always going to be looking at. USF's been a lot better on third and fourth down the last couple of weeks. That could be an area where USF can take advantage of this Tulane defense. And I think we need to see a healthy dose of all three running backs getting the ball inside, outside, passing, catching. Just get your playmakers the ball in space, and I think they'll be all right. I still think this line is like 7 points the wrong way. I think this should be like USF -2, but I could be dead wrong. This could be an ECU type thing.
Yeah, it doesn't see the big difference. I think is when we pulled up the card for ECU, they were kind of middle in the road on both sides of the ball. Nothing was spectacular, but they were pretty decent kind of on both sides of the ball, right? This Tulane offense is really bad. The defense is not much better besides being pretty good against the rush and pretty good, so that's kind of it. If you look at Eckel, points per Eckel, quality drive, they're giving up 60% of their drives are quality drives. That's worse than USF's defense. So points per quality drive, they're giving up more. They're just slightly better there than USF's defense. So they're it's pretty similar statistically, besides being better against the run. So the Tulane defense, the USF defense are similar. I think you got to feel pretty good about that, about playing USF's defense if you were USF's offense, right? And then the USF offense is much better than Tulane's offense. So it does seem weird just looking at these numbers. And Parker, I mean, this is all just kind of purely spit out by math. He's got USF projected to win here. So is there maybe some injury stuff, or are they being really cautious with the guys that left the game early last week? I don't know, maybe. But this feels like a game, and I think Jeff Scott even said it today, that if you're really making progress, this is a game you go win, which I thought was a pretty, bold statement for him to come out and say before a game. But hey,
when I saw the tweet, I think it was from Will that I saw it. Will Turner at Bulls 24/7. Make sure you guys follow him at W Turner. I'm sure everyone listening does already. W Turner 247. Let me pull up I think it was him. Let me make sure. Yeah. All right. So this is from Jeff Scott at the press conference today. And when I heard it again, listening back to the press conference, I was like, oh shit, he actually did say that. And that is like verbatim what my man said. This is a big one for us. Everyone feels internally that we are making some strides. We'll find out this week. This is a game you should be able to go out on the road and win. And he's not wrong. I don't understand this line. I don't understand, unless Vegas knows something already, that they've got well-placed moles inside the USF program who's feeding them these numbers. I don't understand how this is possible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't stake my life on it. Like, this isn't Temple level confidence, but I'm pretty confident. I feel like these two teams are heading in different directions. If we're being perfectly honest, I think Willie Fritz, I love him, but you're year 6? Let me make sure I had this right. Yeah, year 6 of this, and this is year 6. Seth, you had a fantastic story on Alligator Army this afternoon, talking about where you're at in year 4 with coaches historically, and if this is what you've done through 4 years at a school, you're not going to win anything. And now it's clearly a different situation for Tulane. Willie Fritz has taken this team to a bowl game 3 of the 6 years that he's been there. I think the prior 12 years combined, they went to 3. It had been pretty freaking bleak, but you've got to feel, man, he really whiffed on replacing Will Hall, and they're going to have to figure something out here this off season. They've been recruiting pretty well, but it seems like the momentum's kind of slowed down, and there are some guys that could start to get picked off from the recruiting.
Are we on bad Nate Wi-Fi again?
We're on freeze watch right now.
We're on freeze watch. It's okay. Yeah. I think we got the gist of what he was going for there, though.
Yeah, the crux of my piece is you don't descend into championships. You have to be ascending, right? And then typically you don't descend and then ascend again. You kind of, all these coaches that have won national championships, obviously we're not talking about national championships at Tulane, but all the coaches that won national championships, SEC championships, made the playoff, they've all had their bad years early in their tenure and have ascended to the championship, ascended to the playoff. You don't usually go up then back down, then back up. It just doesn't happen a lot, especially at the higher levels. Maybe at a place like Tulane, where they'll give him more time. That could happen, but it's definitely going the wrong direction.
No, it's a shame too, because it's not just a likable program. It's the program that everyone kind of has this newfound affinity for, not just because of the branding and logoing and everything, but I mean, they had it really good for a little bit. They kind of stuck to the expectations, exceeded them, and played well, and scheduled some good opponents because of it, and put the scare into some schools in the past like 3 or 4 years. And then this I want to say this year is going to be an outlier for Willie Fritz and Tulane. I think it's just a combination of not having a true number one receiver step up, not having losing some talent on defense that exceeded expectations, and then obviously losing Will Hall is a huge blow to that offense, and it's shown this year. So I think after a full year with Willie there, and I think he'll probably make a move in the offseason at that offensive coordinator position to try to fix this. But I also wouldn't put it past to kind of just say, like, that's Tulane right now. They're sometimes above average team, sometimes a really bad team, but fun one way or another, it seems like.
Yeah, and I think they're probably pretty satisfied. Obviously, they'd like to be doing better this year, but I think they may be satisfied with where they're at in terms of a program. They're pretty steady. They've been mostly successful.
And they've been pretty good at recruiting too.
Yeah.
They came down to Florida and took 2 Bay Area kids straight out of Jeff Scott's nose. We may be about to flip 1 or 2 of them, but for them to get an early commit like that, which is the Willie Fritz way of get them on campus early, get them to commit early, and just kind of hold on and pray for dear life that they'd stop hearing other offers. So I do think we may flip that one tight end DeCarlo. I can't remember his last name. But I think at the end of the day, Tulane still got a pretty good recruiting class. They've recruited well for the past 4 or 5 years. I think they're consistently in the top half of the conference.
Yeah, and like you said, they come into Florida. I know I coached against a kid, Booker, who plays running back for them. He was, I believe he was a Hernando kid. They came and got him. He was a pretty good player. So they're definitely not afraid to come into Florida. And then you've got good football in Louisiana as well. So they have access to a lot of talent, and they do a pretty good job getting out on the trail.
Mm-hmm. It just this year consistently feels like a little bit of an outlier in the Willie Fritz era more and more as the season goes on, especially offensively. I mean, the early Justin McMillan days, that LSU transfer and what he was capable and able to do in that long triple option offense that they're running, which was, I think, in my opinion, one of my favorite offenses that I got to watch in person. It was just done masterfully. This year just kind of feels like like kind of like a bad Alabama year. Like it happened. I mean, bad Alabama years aren't nearly this bad, but you could tell when Alabama's in an off year. They'll
a bad Florida year.
Yeah, bad Florida year. There we go.
They're about this bad. I think he's definitely earned the benefit of the doubt, earned some extra leash there. So I don't think he's on the hot seat or anything. It's like you said, just a down year, and hopefully they can get it turned around in the future. Let's see if we can get. Oh no, he left. All right. So Nate jumps back in.
It's the Steig and Seth show again. The people have been asking for it. We deliver it.
All right, so real quick, let's go through some stats. While Nate's not here, just run through the advanced stats preview here. Anything jumps out to you? To me, what jumps out is Tulane's success against the run. Nate said he thought that was because Jeff Scott said they play a lot of man coverage, load the box. So USF will have some opportunities in the passing game. I still think they'll be able to run the ball. there's certain ways you can run the ball if they're going to load up and play man coverage. You could do some stuff. Cincinnati last week, when USF played man coverage, they would bring the receivers in and crack the linebackers. So you'd get the corners to follow the receivers inside, and that gives you some leverage if you're pulling guys outside. So that kind of stuff can give you some advantages. You could crack and run speed option with McClain in one of these, and Joyner, Battie, any one of those guys, flip it out to them on the outside, get them one-on-one with a corner. I think you're in good shape. So there's some things they can do even to run the ball against this team. Let's see if we can get Nate back in here now.
Maybe.
Nate, are you back?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Oh yeah,
beautiful,
crystal
audio.
clear.
Perfect. God, man.
All right, so do you want to make? Where are we? Are we in the predictions? We were just going through some of the advanced stats. Are we moving on to the prediction section now?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's head to the predictions and then wrap this show up on a high note. So,
all right,
Seth,
who do you want to start? You want me to start?
Absolutely.
All right. So I think I said earlier, maybe it's previous week, that I'll probably never pick any opponent to score less than 30 for the rest of the year, just till I see it with my own eyes. So I'll say I'm gonna go USF victory here. Let's go 38-31. How about that? 38-31 USF on the road, big W. Oh, that's a cover and the over.
That's a good pick. That's a very good pick.
If I'm close to Nate's pick, I'm pretty happy. He's been on it this year.
I really have. I don't see USF. All right, here we go. It's 31-27 USF. I just think I don't know why I think this USF defense is gonna hold the team under 30 points, but I think USF can score 30 and do just enough to win this game, and that's what you need to see. This is progress in the right direction. USF hasn't won a game in November since 2017. They haven't won their final two games of the season since 2016. You start that this Saturday.
And to your point of kind of a lower score, 31-27 is a lower scoring game. But both teams like to run the ball on early downs. You see there, both teams are running the ball on over 55% of first and second downs. So you may see a lot of runs early, and that would the clock would be running, so lower scoring game. Steve, what do you think?
Well, so gave it some thought. I'll be there, so I'm pretty excited about that. Have been out for a road game in quite some time. Looking forward to it. Be there Thursday through Sunday, and we'll indoctrinate Paige by fire to the realm of USF road games. So we're gonna have fun there. So I was thinking about this prediction for quite some time. And I know the popular thing is going to be that high energy game. I like to liken it a lot to Chicago, the Broadway in the movie. It's a very high energy show throughout the entire process. There's a lot of really good stuff that happens. The story moves quickly, and you get to know these characters. You get to love them. The drama of it, the music is just banging throughout. It's fantastic. And then something happened towards the end. We get a Mr. Cellophane, where it just, it sucks all the energy out of it, and then you kind of limp to a good ending. This is going to be the Mr. Cellophane of the USF season this year. I think it's going to be 17-13, a USF win, but I mean, Tulane has a way right now to just slog teams. I mean, there was 17 punts in the Tulane Tulsa game or something like that. just, I mean, punter's dream. I probably would have loved it. But they seem to have a way that just kind of lulls people into this false sense of security, and then you get shot from behind, and they do this giant dance number at the end, and everyone finds love.
Is that the end?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Interesting. So to recap, Seth has USF winning 38-31. I picked 31-27 USF, and then Stieg picked 17-13 USF. That means USF covers. That means USF wins all three. They don't cover. They don't hit the over for me. They hit the over for Seth. They don't hit the over for Stieg of 60. So plan accordingly, folks. Let's get out of here on a high note before my internet and Wi-Fi decide to act up again if they haven't already. Be sure to go to Irish 31. They're having a great event with a Bulls bonus with Magic 94.9 Danielle on Saturday at the Wesley Chapel location. Make sure you're out there. Go hang out, drink some beers, have some fun with some friends. Go celebrate a potential USF win, and then you have the rest of your Saturday to celebrate. So, I mean, what could be better than that? And then, obviously, make sure you guys go to homefieldapparel.com as a brand new sponsor for the Illuminati podcast and the Daily Stampede. First-time customers get 15% off their home field apparel purchase at homefieldapparel.com site-wide. And then on Black Friday, 20% off. No code necessary. It'll run from Black Friday to Cyber Monday, so you get the entire weekend to buy stuff for your friends and family for the holiday season. Some great USF apparel, some great apparel for the family in your life that you don't love as much because they didn't go to USF, but they went somewhere else that you have to buy a gift for them anyway. Go check them out. They've got gift cards available if you don't really want to spend your money on a Florida shirt or a Florida State shirt, or if you've got that one uncle who went to Bucknell and is just really, really ecstatic about it, and it's just a little old.
Big Bison.
Give them a gift card so they can go get some Bucknell stuff. I mean, that's the beauty of Home Field Apparel. They've got shirts and hoodies and everything for the college football fan across the country. It's been, once again, the Illuminati podcast, proudly presented by Irish 31 and Home Field Apparel. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.